Okay, so this video recording is for your benefit and also for the benefit of anyone who's not here to be able to watch this analysis. But having just watched that through, we're just going to go through basically almost a shot by shot. So we're looking at key technical features using filmic terminology. So I'm going to be pointing out things from camera, cinematography, sound design, soundscape, which is everything we hear. Do you remember landscape is everything you see if you stand on top of a mountain, soundscape is everything you hear in a film. Editing, different editing techniques that are taking place, particularly with regards to continuity. Mise en scène, which is
everything you see.
Perfect answer. Everything that you see on the screen, everything in the scene. To put in the scene is what mise en scène means. And it's derived from theatre, where it was everything that you saw on the stage. Interestingly, including lighting. Lighting is part of mise en scène, as well as cinematography, funny enough. Okay? And we also have things like performance that we have to think about, and there's representation going on as well. So representation in regard to gender stereotypes, sexuality, actually. This is a heterosexual, supposed heterosexual representation going on. We've got ethnicity, because we've got two people of different ethnicity. Potentially age as well. So we've got quite a few different representations going on. And crucially, we've got binary oppositions going on, where they are placed opposite each other. So remember, we're not judging, we're just observing, and then we're analysing why these things might be here. The main character is, I think you'd agree with me if I described as a youngish, so early 20s, white, female, presumably heterosexual from a contact that she has with the other character, who is a supporting character but is also crucial to this film. He is male. He is more likely middle-aged or approaching middle age. He's black, okay, so ethnically he's different. One thing they do share in common is they both appear from their contact to be heterosexual. That's an assumption, fair enough, but from their performance and the way in which they react to each other, we can assume that they have a degree of attraction to each other. And because they're of opposite genders in the classic sense, I think it's fair to assume they're heterosexual. So that's probably the only similarity between. What kind of theories might this lean into? Well, if we are focusing on a young, is it fair to say attractive young female? I believe she has a degree of classic femininity about her, which in Western culture is aligns to classic beauty. She's quite delicate looking, she's quite petite, feminine. There are many different forms of beauty in Western culture, but I think that she ticks quite a few boxes for a stereotypical type of beauty in Western culture. And she is the central character. So can anyone suggest a theory with regards a beautiful female character being centre of the frame and the main focus? Brilliant answer. Perfect. 10 out of 10. Laura Mulvey naming the theorist, and the theory is male gaze, which is to objectify a female character. We also have ideas about theories of representation of ethnicity, so othering. And we could bring in readings such as Stuart Hall's theory, which ties into representation of preferred reading and oppositional readings. Is it fair to say that within this film, a preferred reading is that you would like them to get together? You would like it to be a happy ending, kind of akin to a fairy tale? The oppositional reading might be that you find it uncomfortable to watch them. You might find it, instead of being sincere and warm, you may find it cringy and stomach turning in its saccharine sweetness. That is an oppositional reading to the intent of the filmmaker, correct? Good. Stuart Hall would say the preferred reading is that you'd be rooting for them to get together. There is something called negotiated reading, which Stuart Hall came up with as well, which is somewhere in between. And maybe the ending aligns to more towards a negotiated reading, where you don't get the fairy tale ending, but you do get a satisfactory ending where at least the young lady's faith in society is restored. Faith in other human beings is restored. And we're going to explore technically how that's shown here. Now, of course, there's other theories we can talk about. We talked about which genre of film is this. We said it's not an overt comedy because there's no laugh out loud moments. In fact, there's probably more shocking moments of violence within the film. And it's a semi-serious film, so I think we agreed that it more likely aligned to a drama. Correct? Yeah?
Who did the drama thing?
Sorry?
Who came with drama thing? No. Genre thing.
Genre theory. Well, there's a variety of theories that fit within genre theory. So have a look at your notes after the lesson if that's okay, and then after the session and we'll do that. Right now we're just kind of focusing on the bare bones, and you can take this video away and then look at those questions yourself, okay? But we said specifically to classify this, we would say it would be well, the form is short film. The type of short film is more likely a romantic drama because it's following, it's a hybrid between a romance film and a dramatic film, but it also has experimental elements to it. So it's a genre hybrid, but it is also a subgenre. A subgenre is beneath, almost like a daughter to the main one, okay? So we become what's called more niche, which is more specialized. So those are various things we could consider and some theories and angles that you can consider for revision. Let's have a little look at this. Now, these are my opinions, please feel free to disagree. We notice that actually the film starts with the title screen, but before we see anything from the film itself, we hear an establishing sound from the atmosphere, from the environment, which is traffic. So instantly, we are transported to an urban-like environment. We then cut to our establishing shot, which is a bit unconventional, because ordinarily, an establishing shot is one of the environment to say, this is London, or this is Paris, or this is the middle of the desert, or this is the bottom of the ocean. But this film opens on a medium close-up, not a very close close-up, but a medium close-up onto our main character. She is centered to the right of frame. She is in focus, and the background behind her isn't, so we know that she is the focal point. But very quickly, we are intimately introduced to this character. And from representation, we can see that she is this young-ish, delicate, white female. Pixie-like hair. She has headphones on, which I would, from my perspective as a middle-aged male, I would say implies kind of youthfulness with the headphones. It's more, you tend to see more young people walking around with headphones like this rather than older people, okay? There's no criticism on that, it just tends to be stereotypically, to my eyes, more that way. Please do disagree with any of these. The camera tracks in towards her to emphasize her importance to us. We then have a reverse shot from the opposite angle, and we see her looking, and we can hear a bus approaching. All of this is diegetic sound. Diegetic means within the universe of the film, okay? The bus approaches. The door opens and we can see the function of her being there is to get on the bus. It is going into evening time. How do we know? Because the environment is dark and the lights on the buses and cars are on. Therefore, we can assume what's she doing? Going home. I don't know whether from a day of work or from college or something like that, but she's going home. She is on her own. She's quite isolated. This plays into this next action, which is quite interesting. Although she's front of the queue straight away, she is bumped and hustled to the back of the queue. Did you notice anything from the sound as that was happening? The shoes scraping? Did you hear the bumps of the elbows and like the oof, oof, oof? It was almost like her being beaten up. Is a single word said? No. Is she unhappy at this? How can you tell? Facial expressions tying into performance. Actor's performance is telling us from the unhappiness. She looks like she's quite dejected and quite upset by what has happened. She's not crying, but imagine, can you feel sympathy for her? Can you relate to her? Can you feel like if that was me, I would feel unhappy as well? Good, that means that you are being aligned to her. You are recognizing her to begin with, and you are being aligned to her as a character. You feel sympathy for her. She sighs and she steps onto the bus. We then see, from her perspective, because it's an over-the-shoulder shot, the first instance of the next main character of this film, which is this binary opposite to her, this middle-aged, approximately, black male character. We mentioned before about the importance of his costume. He looks like he's dishevelled because he's come from a hard day of work himself. He looks like he's had enough of himself. He's got this bag over the shoulder, which is kind of like a I don't care kind of pose. Now I've had enough of today. And it could be seen, can you notice how it's ever so slightly, what kind of angle of shot is this? Is the camera low or high? So it's a low angle shot. It makes him look more dominant in the frame, doesn't it? Doesn't it position him in a position of potential authority or possible threat? If he's bigger in the frame from her small perspective, he might look scary, which I believe is the purpose. I also believe, aligning to racial stereotypes within this country, within the West, is that there's a particular reason he's a black actor, is because stereotypically he is an other, he's other to her whiteness, and therefore might be perceived as a threat. I'm not saying right or wrong, I'm simply observing and analysing, okay? Did you see her expression there? Is it fair to say that she looked worried? She kind of stares at him, slightly widened eyes. And we have a shot, reverse shot, shot, reverse shot. Have you noticed with the editing, everything feels like it's happening all at the same time? Like the shot then goes to that shot, then goes to this shot, then goes to that shot. That's called continuity editing. It makes the editing invisible in the sense that it feels that it's just one continuous moment happening all the way through. Okay? That's important because it helps to make it more believable. And this is a drama. There are moments shortly where it becomes unbelievable. But because at this point it's set up like it is believable, when the character gets shot in the head, we go, oh my God, did that really happen? Because it feels up until that point that this is a true depiction of what would happen. That's due to the editing. So she puts what I would describe as the theme tune, which is this kind of playful, kind of almost Western, you know, like cowboy style music, dang, 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 or kind of like a Western guitar-y banjo sound, ties into the violent aspect, the shootout. And she puts these headphones on. Right now, this music is what kind of music within the film? diegetic, isn't it? Because it's what she can hear as a character, but soon it turns into non-diegetic. These shots, do they appear like they're from her perspective? Good, so these could be POV shots, couldn't they? We are being placed inside of her head visually. In a second, we're going to be placed inside of her head through audio. Did you notice that transition there where the music becomes clearer? Now it's non-diegetic because it's for us. But that is an audio form of POV. Instead of being a POV visually, this is a POV with audio. Further puts us inside of her head. And the importance of this, particularly with the mise en scène, is up until this point, everything we've seen has been very believable because of the continuity editing and the depiction, everything seemed real. So is this real? If it is, why is this guy not reacting? But he's got blood on his face, right? So this promotes active spectatorship. We could tie in Roland Barthes' Enigma codes. Enigma is a mystery to solve. What is going on here? Is this real? Is it not? Is it a dream? Why is this person not reacting? Interestingly, what we then discover to be inside of her head, because nobody is reacting and actually the people she sees in a second are back to how they were, the world has then pushed them together. So she's out of control, right? She has no control over where her feet are taking her. That's a beautiful shot, I love that one. Nothing really to analyse in that other than aesthetically it's really nice. So that bump there was the inciting instant, wasn't it? We talked about narrative theory, the three-act structure, and the inciting instant was where they bump hands together. Because after that happens, the plot changes. They have connected. That is the moment of connection. And as we see now, they slowly and cringily approach each other with delicacy from now on. The potential antagonism between the two of them begins to evaporate as they begin to connect as human beings. This is shown through what kind of shots? Close-ups on the hands. The hands are intimate parts of the body. We use them to greet people, right, with handshakes. We use them to non-verbally communicate with people. This is a positive sign. This is perfect. There are other hand gestures that I will not do on a recorded video, which are more negative. Okay, non-verbal communication. This is a very intimate and sincere way of non-verbally communicating something that's nice and genuine about being human. So at that point, he becomes not a threat. This might be a stretch, but do you remember we said denotation is say what you see and connotation are the embedded meanings? Well, in Western culture, where two hands join like this, that's actually very important imagery because it harks back to the Sistine Chapel with Michelangelo having painted God in the Garden of Eden bringing life to Adam, where the two fingers connect. That's like God gifting life. it could be argued as an interpretation, because these are two hands touching and it's in close-up, not dissimilar to this image, that this is bringing her back to life, back to being a human being. You might think that's rubbish, you're totally entitled to, but I bet you I could get a mark or two if I wrote that in an exam to say the denotation of this is two people touching hands, it's an intimate gesture. The connotation could be that she is returning back to humanity, having lost her faith in humanity. As harking back to Michelangelo's David. Not David, sorry. Adam in the Sistine Chapel. Notice how the music has also changed. The music often in film does a lot of what we call heavy lifting in terms of tonality. It's no longer threatening and cowboy film-like. It becomes more gentle, becomes more passive. This is more like sun rays on a spring day. And actually, as they touch, the flash of light, I might be imagining it, but I'm sure there's a lot more yellow in the frame right now. Connotation of yellow being sun and gentle. And of course, not a single word is said, everything is non-verbal, but we know that the relationship has been restored. She's happy with herself. And now her internal image, her imagination, is depicting a much more happy environment. And this is the experimental stuff within this film. The slow motion sense gives a sense of weightlessness, carefreeness. See? Gentleness. This is part of the editing. Okay, and that is connect. Now, that stuff I've just gone through, that took about 15 minutes to go through. This is a 12 marker. You do not need every last bit of that, but you can take some of it. Take the bits that you think are the most important for you. You've got loads of notes there. I'm sure what you've written there can easily be transferred over into your question, okay? Essentially what we've done is really analyse the hell out of this one, shot by shot, sound by sound, edit by edit, costume by costume, light by light. What we haven't done really is gone into a huge amount of depth in terms of the theory, how you can apply this to the theorists. That's what you need to do this weekend. And the best way you can do that is look at the past paper questions, look at the 12 markers, and see if you can answer those, and then look at the mark scheme that is included in those, because it tells you how you could have got the best marks. That's the best revision you can do for this 12 mark, okay? Thank you so much for coming.